It seems like a lot of people are having trouble expanding with LA Xibalba, saying they can't expand or they have bad expansion or they don't know how to expand with them or they're terrible at expansion. So I've just decided to put together a little video to tell you that you should just put stats on your bats, two head, easy clap. End video, roll credits. Thank you to my Patreon supporters. Alright. No, I'll do a real video instead. I've seen in the forums lately too many places for it to be a coincidence. Multiple people on multiple forums either asking how to expand with them, saying they have bad expansion, saying their expansion is terrible, asking if they need to take away pretenders to expand with LA Zabalba, and otherwise saying these bats are fucking terrible sacreds, which they're not, but we'll get into it. And in other ways, just talking down this nation or saying that they can't figure out its expansion. Now, that's very weird to me because I've always had good expansion with this nation in both tests and the one game I played with them, even with fairly greedy, not very forward facing gods such as this one, and use the sacreds in my expansion even when they don't have a whole lot of stats to use in expansion. Uh, Again, such as on this build. So I thought I'd maybe address that a little bit. And I think the theme of this video, if it's going to have a theme, is that bad expansion and hard expansion are two different things. Xibalba, I've always found to have good expansion, but you actually have to think during your turns of expansion, whereas most people want to treat expansion as a plug and chug. And it is a plug and chug if you have like Sacred Elf Cavalry or something. For this expansion demonstration, I'm going to be using this god. I haven't tested to the point where this is a like full build where I'm completely comfortable with this or decided like looked at all the points of the different pretenders. It's a demonstration build. And you can, I think, have a fair amount of flexibility on late age Xibalba, especially as your bats already have magic weapons, to do different things with your build. So I'll point out what I think is necessary. First, we have the Order 3. That is pretty much necessary on the build. You are going to get rec capped, and so you are going to need those recruitment points. Then I have Dom 9. You don't need 9. I would say 7 is a minimum, though, because you're going to be wanting a lot of Bat Sacreds in the expansion phase. And then later on, you're just going to be wanting a lot of Sacred. The next thing, Strength. I think this is the only actual required stat to put on Xibalban Bat Sacreds. They already hit pretty hard, but you want them to hit very, very hard. They have a base strength of 9, though they have a good weapon, and upping their strength is going to enable you to actually crack heavier armors, which your basic troops might have trouble with. You can use the toads for it, but they're fucking expensive, so I would just put it on your bats. It also helps in the expansion phase. You'll smash through heavy infantry shields and smash through heavy cavalry. So I've got Magic 3, and for this build, it is going to be very important to take. For the technique I'm going to show you, it's going to be important to take Magic 3 because we're going to use reanimation in order to get lance catchers for heavy cavalry provinces. However, you don't necessarily need to take Magic 3 if you want to calculate it further and see how much magic you need to take in order to get the proper researches up for reanimation. Depending on how many mages you're recruiting early, you could do that calculation and figure out how much magic you actually need. You can also use imps instead of reanimation, but for this technique I'll be using reanimation. It's fairly simple. Then the other thing I really like, Undying on the bats. They have low base HP and they trade well, so Undying is good, but it is not necessary at all. The defense skill and swiftness are good for indies. You can even crank those up higher if you want your bats to have even less attrition versus indies. I think +3 defense skill will give them a defense skill of, I believe, 14, which is going to be good enough. Then attack skill, you already have very high attack skill on them. They have 15 given on their main attack with their weapon. So you don't really need attack skill. I've taken the attack skill is part of a 3 set here. You can up this if you really want to hit cavalry. These guys will be hitting at 17 attack. That'll hit most cavalry. But you can even put another stack of attack skill on to hit 19 attack. The rest I've put as flex. The only other thing you need to know about these scales is that you shouldn't go too far into sloth. It's okay to go some sloth, but if you go too far, it'll take a while before you can actually start recruiting even the sacred bats in your capital on like the first turn, and that can delay your first expansion party. So this is what we're going with, and there's a lot of flex that you can do with your builds and your guys. So don't take this as a definitive build. It's just for demonstration purposes. For our first turn, we are going to be profiting our starting commander. We are going to be starting our research, and at our magic, we will get enchantment 1 immediately. We're going enchantment 1 for that reanimation. That's part of our expo strat. Blood 1 for defensive imps. Then construction 2 and alteration 2 for GSSs and earthmeld. This is a nice defensive opener. You might want to do something different if you're actually turning this into a build order, but I'm just demonstrating what a defensive opener is going to look like. Then in our recruitment, we are recruiting an AITs, which is very important because they are going to be reanimating our skeletons for those heavy cav provinces. Then we are recruiting obsidian warriors, and I made a mistake here, and we actually want to recruit some muuch dart throwers as archer baits in case we run into crossbow provinces. Generally, we want to be maxing our obsidian warrior production, which will happen fairly soon. Yeah. Basically, we want to be maxing our obsidian warrior production as soon as possible. So I have got my work cut out for me because I have randomly rolled what I would call a very hard cap circle. We have heavy cavalry, crossbowmen and heavy cavalry, a grotesque province, a barbarian province, and a caveman province. So this might be a scrubbed test. This might be a fail with anything, but what we're going to try to do is this. This is more of a crossbowman script, but we don't have a good place to go in. So what we're going to do is we're going to have our obsidian warriors go with some Zotz guards that are going to hold an attack into the cavalry, and then the rest are going to hold an attack into archers while we divine bless. These guys will be drawing the crossbow fire, and they will probably also die to the lance charge. This is going to be a little bit of a high attrition expo right here, which sucks, but that's just what we're going to have to deal with. In our cap, we are recruiting an Ajaw as a priest and a Batab just to lead our guys around. The Ajaw might sit in the cap, depending. You can go halvesies on mages here. I typically don't. And we're just recruiting more of those obsidian warriors to replenish our numbers. We're also going to be casting reanimation with this guy so that next turn we can go into the other heavy cavalry province with some skeleton lance catchers if we need to. So hopefully it works out. I'd hate to scrub an expo test after telling you I know how to expo. So this is what we would call winning ugly. So you'll see what happens here, and this is not the optimal thing, but we have a fair number of heavy cavalry that we have run into. They're going to kill our poor baits, and we're going to descend upon them and murder them, while our other squad is going to simply die in melee to crossbowmen, humiliatingly. And then we will descend upon them with our obsidian warriors and kill them. But not an auspicious start. So let's see what we have. Afterwards, we have our main army, which has not much left in it. And we have our capital, which has just what we've gotten. And we've got some extra gold and some extra resources. We are going to head into these cavemen, since we have mostly sacreds remaining, and these sacreds will absolutely schnacker the cavemen, I hope, generally speaking. We're also casting reanimation again to get some more skeletons. That'll eventually get us into this province, and we are recruiting some more bats, mainly focused on obsidian warriors. Here we're going to start recruiting crossbowmen to serve as our baits and save our cap some resources. But what we'll do is we'll consolidate here, and we may have to split back up later. We've also got this guy just waiting to pick up these troops next turn. The Mines of Despair. So, as you can see, we simply melt the cavemen and lose one Azat's Guard. Maybe we should have gone there first, but I have a feeling with less of our sacreds and more Zut's Guard, it would have gone worse for us. So what we're doing here is a fairly complicated maneuver, but that's how this nation plays. Up here, we are going attack closest and attack rear with our two different squads. This is because we have a Divine Blessing guy, and it is way better to catch the squad that is closest and also have guys on commander sniping duty than it is to try to send all your bats into commander snipe, which can result in the enemy just walking forward and killing your commander, or it can result in the entire enemy force just turning around. So it's better to split them up. We're doing a similar thing here, but we're having one of our guys serve as a pull for the attack rear. Most of this is going to be on the attack closest, as we've got lots of obsidian warriors here. We're recruiting one of these guys to manage the crossbowmen. We're recruiting naked bats and batabs here, and we will need to keep on recruiting batabs for our whole thing. In our cap, we have actually started double recruiting jaws. We're going to alternate, and again, you can do this on partial recruitment. We're going to alternate between mages and double recruiting a jaws to lead out forces centered around obsidian warriors. What is this? Lamau? Okay, that was bad. So here, let's see how we do against the archers. Actually, no. I know how we'll do against the archers. We're going to kill the archers. We lose a batab, but that's fine. And some obsidian warriors. That was a little bit... These were a little bit sketchy, but we had that hard start, so that's not that bad. Then this was pretty bad because we had Ronins come in and kill most of our fucking obsidians here. So you can't accuse me of only showing battles where I got lucky, because this is some pretty terrible luck right here. So it is turn 5. We are recruiting more naked bats out of our naked bat zones, and we are recruiting more of our club sword guys. By the way, the club sword guys are just straight up better than the light lance guys nowadays. Now that Illwinter double nerfed them, we are also recruiting another one of these fuckers, though that is Flex. And you can see some of the fucky scripting I'm having to do. What I'm having, since we have our Divine Blessing, we can just use attacks. I'm having a bunch of guys attack rear. These guys will draw the first set of archer fire, and this squad, which has most of our obsidian warriors, is going to attack closest. Over here, I've just got a simple archer bait attack rear script set up. So, fairly easy. We did take some attrition, especially on the Zut's guards. We took an A-Jaw here, which really sucks, but that's okay. Mounted Commander will have to pick up the pace. We're going to play it pretty conservatively on this turn, turn 6, which is kind of bad because we need to start being more explosive at this point, but given that these are very high value but highly guarded provinces, I don't feel too bad about it. Give me some defense there. Here is what our skeletons are going to look like. They're going to be sitting back here on attack cavalry. Their job is to take fire and to take the lance charge. This, you could probably do this with the second cast with 20 on a lot of them. We've been very conservative here. Then you importantly want some of your obsidian warriors on hold and attack cavalry, and some of the rest on hold and attack rear. What this will do is the cavalry will hit the skeletons, they'll get their lance charge off, it will deplete on the skeletons having their pierce resist, so they'll take all the damage, then your obsidian warriors will come down and wreck them. Over here, we've just got a simple archer bait script formed. We're continuing our recruitment patterns. In this case, we are not recruiting 2 guys because we are sneaking back a priest, but you will recruit 2 guys. And of course, if you get indie priest provinces, they can be good, but they're less good on Xibalba than they are normally because you really want your own mobility. We also have, naked Zots guys walking around, So that's just our normal battle, and let's check on, let me show you the cavalry battle. Here we have a lot of heavy cav. Let's see, 6, 12, 18, 19 heavy cav. So that is a fair number. I've seen more, but that's okay. They're going to come up. They're going to hit our skeletons. Up. Then we are going to drop on them. We are going to kill them, kill their commanders. They're going to rout. They will still kill some bats on the route because that is how it works. But that is a tough heavy cav province that we have killed for mostly long dead losses. So that's how we look now. This province looks weak, so we're sending a non-sacred party after it, and we are trying to see if our dudes can finish off some of these other hard provinces. So we're sending quite substantial forces after them. This guy could start building a lab if we had the spare cash for it, or if we wanted to make the cash for it, but he's going to just start blood hunting. We're also sending this guy back to pick up these crossbowmen, though, I don't know. Yeah, no, ew. There's a lack of bait, and we want to bait this province pretty badly. We do end up taking all of these, though some of them are pretty ugly wins, but as you can see, these are fairly difficult provinces, or what would normally be considered fairly difficult provinces, and we're just taking them with some of our bats and some of our supports. Oh man, lucky thing they got caught up on the skeletons there. That could have been really bad. This is quite the nasty, nasty province. So that's that, and I will check back in on turn 12 to see how we did. So it is not turn 12 yet, but I am just going to show off a little bit of imp tech here. Early hunting can get you early imps, and your early imps can get you can serve as lance catchers. The other thing about this is note that you can consolidate guys into the you can consolidate guys without blood into guys with it, or just grab guys from your lab or whatever. Yeah. So here's what that imp tech is going to look like in practice. They're gonna kill the skeletons I've got. Imps are gonna come down and disrupt. Oh my god. That was not intended. You're supposed to kill the cavalry. Well, it worked out okay anyway. It looked a lot cleaner on the battle report than it looked, actually. I have somehow managed to run into the AI I put on the map. That's very interesting. Oh well, yet another misfortune. So here we are on turn 12, and we can see we have our 25 provinces taken, which is pretty good for an xbow test. Didn't go well. I shouldn't say that. It's pretty good for an xbow test, especially considering we had that really quote-unquote tough cap circle. Actually, it was a tough cap circle. Fuck that. Who am I scare quoting? Myself? We had a tough cap circle. We have a bit of geography with the mountains and caves hindering our map move. We had, a bump with an AI, which usually doesn't happen in expo testing, and we had those early Ronins, which early on took down a lot of Obsidian warriors. So we had a lot of bad luck in this expo test, and we still got 25. So all you really need to, well, not all you need to know. You can use those techniques, and in addition to those techniques, what you really need to know for this nation is you really need to be not on autopilot, not just running the same expo force into guys over and over again, but you need to be using your resources, using your massive mobility you have as bats, to split and recombine and choose the provinces that you can take, and then use your resources like early blood hunting or early reanimation to take those heavy cav provinces, which are normally very hard for bats. So hopefully you have a better idea of this nation. Hopefully you will no longer say this nation has bad expansion, it can't expand, it loses year one. And hopefully you got a little bit more appreciation for these Obsidian warriors, because they really do fucking tear heavy cavalry to pieces. The end.